The Republic would have its people to believe that their enemies are heartless droids. We are not droids. We are farmers and menders, builders and healers. We are fathers, brothers, mothers and sisters who have been forced to take up arms to challenge a selfish and corrupt government. The emotionalist cultists of the Jedi Order and their vat-grown drones are fighting a witless war. We fight for our lifeblood, our heritage, and our soil. Your planet, your home, is flooded with blood. For 3,000 years, we were loyal to the Republic. But did they send aid during the brain rot plague? Did they react when the Trandoshans invaded? Where were the Jedi when Lithian pirates killed your parents and mine? The Republic ignored our cries for help until they learned that beneath all the mud, our planet has a heart of ore. We will fight to defend our planet. We will send the Jedi home in body bags. These are the words of a man by the name of Alto Stratus, who prior to the start of the Clone Wars held the position of commander within a special forces unit in the Jabiim military. He became disillusioned with the Jabiim army and their methods, as well as with the lack of assistance from the Republic and the Jedi, despite Jabiim being part of the Republic at that time. This led Stratus to bring up the unit under his command to serve him personally, while in the process drawing others from the army into his very own cult of personality. By the time the Clone Wars broke out, Alto Stratus had taken control of the Jabiim Congress, with Stratus having called for the assassination of key members and used his gained influence to ally Jabiim with the Confederacy of Independent Systems, which turned the Storm World into a military hotspot. The remaining loyalists, led by their captain Orlis Gilman, attempted to overthrow Stratus by organizing a resistance, though his own resources were severely depleted due to Stratus seizing the armories and destroying them, leaving the Jabiim loyalists weakened. In order to protect the loyalists from the Stratus' regime, the Supreme Chancellor of the Republic authorized the use of force, thus making the war on Jabiim inevitable. In the attempt of reaching a peaceful settlement, negotiations spearheaded by the Alderaanian Diplomatic Corps were organized to take place on the Caucasus Chambers right on Jabiim. The Vice Chair, Masamita, believed that the Jabiim were not at all open to reaching a peaceful settlement with the Republic. Alto Stratus then proceeded to bash the Republic for assembling forces on their neighboring Handuin system in order to reach the planet at a moment's notice while the negotiations were taking place. This on top of Republic intelligence learning that the Jabiim Congress had been supplied with the necessary tools and firepower to crush the Republic loyalists on the planet in exchange for the planet's ore and other resources, which led most to believe that Jabiim had been essentially bought by the Separatists. Senator Bail Organa, who was also present during the session, hoped for the success of these negotiations in order to avoid the casualties that will come of the result of this inevitable battle. However, this is not the direction that this situation was headed towards. And with that being said, just a month later, the Battle of Jabiim had begun, with the Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi being assigned as theater commander for this campaign. The Republic managed to establish a small fortress on Shelter Base and proceeded to attack key defensive positions with the goal of eliminating Stratus. And with the support of Captain Gilman's forces, the Republic was able to take a dozen of defensive positions previously held by the enemy, though there were no signs of Stratus nor any evidence of any Separatist equipment. It would appear as if the Jabiim Separatists had fought only using their own native forces and equipment, while purposely hiding their CIS forces. Alto Stratus had allowed the Republic to advance on many of his positions, knowing that the enemy would have to divide their own forces in doing so, all part of his plan. The following week, the Republic attacked yet another defensive outpost, known as Outpost Shear. The attack was led by General Obi-Wan Kenobi and his first lieutenant, Jedi Padawan Anakin Skywalker, along with the ARC trooper known as Alpha 17. The Republic forces were able to overrun the position using the first generation of AT-ATs and AT-XTs. Alpha 17 had suggested to flank the enemy forces in order to prevent their retreat. Then, Jedi Master Sirrus and his Padawan Aubrey Wen joined Kenobi and Skywalker. The Padawan Aubrey Wen was known as one of the best healers the Jedi Temple had to offer, with her healing a nationalist soldier on her master's command, which led her to wonder if the Jedi were there to be soldiers or doctors. Padawans Cass Todd and Mac Lotor were also present on the outpost, and on Kenobi's orders managed to cut off the escape of the retreating soldiers. Within days, Outpost Sheer belonged to the Grand Army of the Republic. As the Republic regrouped on their newly captured outpost, Kenobi briefed Master Sirrus on Jabiim's current situation. Then, Alto Stratus took it upon himself to give a 12-minute speech by way of hologram in order to rally his own troops. Then, the ARC trooper known as Alpha 17 expressed his concerns that their main forces were more than a day's journey away, a vulnerability the clone trooper was worried of being exploited by the enemy. Once Stratus was ready, he launched a massive attack against the Republic-owned shelter base. Stratus had purposely saved his Confederacy forces as well as his own elite in order to overwhelm the Republic at their most vulnerable. Taking advantage of the Stormworld's atmospheric disturbance, the Republic was unable to detect any CIS equipment. Then, a Hellfire-class droid tank unleashed missiles onto the base, with one of them destroying a Republic-class AT-AT walker, obliterating everything in its path. The Republic's situation grew increasingly difficult as several of their AT-AT walkers were unable to move forward due to the muddy surface. One of the Jedi generals present had taken it upon herself to move the walkers using the Force. Unfortunately, she was put down by Stratus, who had taken the Jedi by surprise, stabbing her in the back. Then, Kenobi and Skywalker, along with Master Sirrus and Wen, had returned to the battlefield with their reinforcements. Despite having the upper hand, Stratus felt it necessary to retreat along with his elite soldiers, while Obi-Wan and the ARC Trooper Alpha moved to protect the AT-AT walkers, using one of them to protect their right flank. Even though they had found success in navigating Jabiim's difficult weather on the surface, as well as being able to destroy most of the Republic's heavy equipment, Stratus and his men were not able to take out the garrison stationed on Outpost Sheer. Before the retreat order was given, Stratus and his men managed to plant limpet charges on one of the walkers, completely destroying the legs. Kenobi, along with Master Sirrus and Alpha 17, raced to rescue the clones trapped inside the walker. Then, out of nowhere, the walker exploded, taking out Master Sirrus in the process. As for Obi-Wan, due to him being too close to the explosion, he was also presumed dead and was included among Jabiim's victims. General Kenobi, along with the ARC Trooper, were later confirmed to have survived, but were captured immediately by the CIS commander Asajj Ventress and transported to a stronghold on the Ratatak system away from the Battle of Jabiim. For several weeks, the Republic continued their fight on Jabiim, and with casualties increasing on the Republic side. By day 28, the Republic forces had already lost 3 Jedi generals and over 32 clone troopers from the 43rd Battalion. Stratus eventually proceeded to attack the forces stationed at the capital city of Koal, wiping out the Republic forces and decapitating their Jedi leader, one by the name of General Narkuna. Meanwhile, the remaining Padawans and Masters still on the planet's surface continued to put up a fight against Stratus's forces. Anakin Skywalker having just recently been assigned to work with the Padawan Pack, which was a group of now masterless students with each of their mentors meeting their end on the planet's surface, and now Skywalker found himself a part of the masterless group. While most of its members had already accepted their fate of their masters, Anakin was spiraling, not being able to cope with the trauma of losing anyone in his life. So much so that the other Padawans described Anakin projecting his emotions through the Force like a jamming beacon, with many of them not being able to truly focus while Anakin was near. By day 30, 18 Jedi and 9,000 clone soldiers had lost their lives due to the war on Jabiim's surface. General Leska, now the highest-ranking Jedi on the planet since General Narkuna's death was confirmed, now had a decision to make, as now she was in command of not only Gilman's forces, but also had a duty to the group of students who were now left without their masters. Thanks to Gilman's resources, they were now able to locate Stratus within the planet, with him being spotted on the Razor Coast. Wasting little time, General Leska quickly mobilized the remaining forces while also sending the Padawan pack to travel with the resupply convoy, as she did not wish to order any more children to their deaths. Unfortunately, what she failed to realize is that as long as they were present on Jabiim, death itself would come for each and every one of them until there was no Jedi or Republic sympathizers were left standing. While traveling with the convoy, the Padawans were spotted by one of Commander Stratus's patrols, quickly alerting him of their presence. Alto Stratus took it upon himself to lead the attack on the convoy, further motivated by the fact that he had learned that a group of Padawan learners was all that was left to escort their resupply efforts. Unknowingly, the Padawans were heading in the direction of a minefield, being placed in a difficult situation as now they had to navigate this field and deal with the force of Stratus's elite known as the Nimbus. Once they were intercepted, the Padawans fought back, meeting their attack head-on with one of their own. Not being able to break them, Stratus called his men back to regroup, intending to meet the Padawan pack at their destination with a stronger offense, being fully aware that he has crippled most of the Republic's command structure by this point, and that there were little to no Jedi generals left on the planet. Stratus knew that they would not be able to stand a chance. The Padawans thought so as well, but if they were gonna go down in this war regardless, at least they would go down fighting. On the 37th day, General Leska and her forces had perished, just 2 days after taking Razor Coast Station. Scheduling a Republic evacuation, the remaining forces along with Captain Gilman had planned to meet with the Padawans to an extraction point south of Cobalt Station where they were now located. Captain Gilman informed the Padawan pack that Stratus was on the move with an army of 10,000 strong, his elite soldiers, and special reinforcements courtesy of Count Dooku. The Padawans quickly realized that they were the only ones standing in the way of Stratus's advance, finding themselves between the evacuation point and Alto Stratus's forces. The Padawan pack had accepted their fate. One final stand against Stratus, promising to bury him before they bury each other. In order to buy more time for the evacuation ships to break through the surface, the Padawans had decided to stay on Cobalt Station and fight off Stratus as long as they possibly could, determined to give the Republic enough time to get everyone off the planet. But before Stratus's armies could reach Cobalt Station, an encoded transmission targeted to Anakin Skywalker was received. It was the Supreme Chancellor asking Skywalker to lead the evacuation efforts for the Republic. Anakin refused, not wanting to abandon his friends in their most desperate hour. The Chancellor insisted, however, telling Skywalker that they would perish regardless of Anakin's involvement, once again putting his faith in the young apprentice to lead what was left of the Republic forces off Jabiim once the storms cleared. Against his own wishes, Anakin had left the station for the rendezvous point, with his thoughts concentrated on the group of Padawans he was forced to leave behind, his friends, his brothers and sisters of the Jedi Order. Anakin traveled with these thoughts of guilt, perhaps believing that his place was with his friends and the incoming battle that they would soon take part in. But time was short, and these thoughts only served to hold Anakin back. There was still a mission to complete, and Skywalker knew this. Meanwhile, back at Cobalt Station, the battle was on. For Stratus, winning this battle meant the freedom of Jabiim from the Republic as well as the Jedi Order. For the Padawan pack, however, winning this battle meant their very own survival. The battle on the outpost lasted over a course of 3 days, with the Padawans fighting wave after wave of enemies pushed to their absolute limits by Stratus's armies. Being completely overwhelmed by the opposing force, the Padawans fought bravely against the might of Stratus, but ultimately, this was not enough. One by one, each of them fell. Padawan Tay Diath was gunned down by one of Dooku's assassin droids gifted to Stratus. Because of the strong bond that Tay Diath shared with fellow Padawan Alora Sund, Alora suffered a powerful psychic backlash from the trauma of Tay's death, which ultimately took her life on the battlefield. The Padawan known as Window Nind would lose his life as a result of being crushed under a moving Hellfire droid tank, but not before setting off a detonator taking out the tank in the resulting explosion. Cass Todd and Mac Lotor would fall together in each other's arms in one final embrace before being bombarded by Hellfire missiles, but not before Cass severed Stratus's right leg with her saber. The Padawan known as Vabesh would die as a result of a breach in his containment suit. Since his species could not survive on regular oxygen, he suffocated. Zul Zis, in the heat of battle, was crushed by a falling AT-AT walker, unable to sense it due to the chaos around her, leaving Aubrey Wen as the sole survivor, taking on Alto Stratus himself. Unable to sense the draw of Stratus's weapon, Aubrey was fatally shot, falling on top of Alto Stratus with hers and Vavesh's saber still ignited, effectively taking Alto Stratus down along with her, ending the conflict. However, nothing could undo the amount of damage that Alto Stratus had dealt to the Republic on Jabiim, which forced the Republic to pull the remaining forces off Jabiim and redirect the efforts to the other fronts of the war. Having just arrived at the rendezvous point, Anakin was faced with a grueling reality. There was only enough room on the transports for the Republic forces still on the planet due to the fact that only a single transport ship was able to break through the atmosphere momentarily and with an hour-long window to take off, or else they would be grounded for several days as a result of the storms. Because of this, Anakin was forced to leave behind the Republic loyalists still on Jabiim with only the resources they previously had before the Republic had attempted to intervene. Infuriated, Captain Gilman lashed out and struck Anakin in the face, expressing his frustration while yelling at the young Skywalker. Blast you for proving Stratus right. We risked everything for the Republic and you abandon us now? This is your home, and this is your fight now, was all that Anakin could say to the Jabiimi captain. And he was right. The Republic had attempted to fight off the Separatists on Jabiim, but Jabiim had fought back and won, leaving the Republic as well as the Jedi Order's ranks greatly reduced. Not satisfied with this, Gilman and the surviving loyalists attempted to hijack the transport with the goal of finding sanctuary on a distant planet, blaming the Republic's war for leaving them without a place to truly call home. Skywalker had ordered them to stand down, to which none did. This in turn had made Anakin lose his patience, seizing Gilman by the throat with the Force, making him as well as his men stand down solely out of pure shock. Using the current shock of what had just happened, the Republic forces capitalized on the opportunity and quickly boarded the transport. Getting ready to leave Jabiim, Anakin had apologized to Gilman, to which he rejected, stating that they will never forget. Once off Jabiim, Skywalker had let the Chancellor know that it was over. The Battle of Jabiim had ended and that they had lost more than the battle itself. The war on Jabiim had taken a heavy toll on Anakin, as it had on many of the troops who managed to escape the planet's death trap. 2 days after leaving Jabiim, Anakin had arrived on the planet of New Holstis, which had a Republic medical base located in the Mid-Rim. While most of the clone troopers filled the medical rooms waiting to be treated, Anakin was met by Jedi Master Asherad Head and his own Padawan, one by the name of Bat Jewel. Still fresh from the horrors experienced on Jabiim, Skywalker was taken into the med bay in order for him to assist in the healing of injured clones and Jedi, as Jedi healers were scarce at the moment. This in turn led Anakin to assist an already dying Jedi. The young Padawan had attempted to use the Force in order to keep the dying Jedi's heart beating, which in turn brought the Jedi great pain and discomfort. After this, Master Head had decided to bring Anakin before a high concentration of energy found on New Holstis. It was a memorial created by the people of New Holstis to honor the Jedi that had fallen since the birth of the Republic. Filled with dozens of so-called memory moths, if one were to listen closely, a whisper could be heard. The moths were in fact speaking the name of a fallen Jedi, with each whispering a different name. Asherat Het had revealed that any name spoken to the Moths will be repeated for eternity within the Moth's wings. With this in mind, Skywalker would honor the friends lost to war. Cass Todd, Mac Lotor, Tay Diath, Alora Sund, Vabesh, Window Nend, as he struggles to continue, Zul Zis, Aubrey Wynn, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was still missing in action at the time, though Skywalker was still unaware of his master's survival. Skywalker would briefly mourn the lives that had been lost as the last survivor of the Battle of Jabiim, which took part in the early months of the Clone Wars, only to receive new orders from Master Ki-Adi-Mundi that Anakin, along with Master Het and his Padawan, were to deploy to serve on the fronts of Argonar. On to the next battle, the Clone Wars would continue to rage on, testing the spirits and the morals of any who would participate in the battles that were to come. Hey everyone, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. If so, please feel free to subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Have a great week, and may the Force be with you, always.